Everyone at Blue Mode has been hard at work on our puzzle game, The Secrets You Grow, and, listen, that's should receive a bit of an asterisk. We all loved working on that game. However, it's apparent to us from wishlist numbers and the overall attention surrounding the game that it's not going to make the blue bucks, as we like to say. Because of this, we set a goal this summer to create prototypes for a future game that could be more commercially viable. Now, don't worry, that's not to say we're canceling Secrets, it just means it's under new management. Not really, it just means we're diverting attention for a little bit. No matter what, The Secrets We Grow will be the first game to be released from us, so for now, just hang tight for more news on that. A mistake in hindsight with our previous game was that we just sort of jumped straight into the project without any planning. So this time, instead of coming up with a game and going all in on that singular idea, we thought the better approach would be to concept and prototype a bunch of smaller games and decide later on which one works better and if we want to move ahead with it. We started developing different ideas to showcase by the end of this summer, and by we develop ideas, I mean one of us went up to our main programmer, Gil, and essentially said, "Could you make this prototype, please?" A lot of cool game concepts were thrown around during this stretch of time, like a couple of small-scale horror games and a co-op party game we plan to use during a game jam. This was supposed to be a mix between Splatoon and Fall Guys that I think still has some merit. It's definitely still in the Blue Mode Vault. This pitching phase lasted quite a while we were chipping away at some minor stuff for Secrets We Grow, until I decided to throw my own hat into the ring. I pitched a game concept based off of aesthetics and gameplay that I really enjoyed, but wasn't really confident the entire team would be on board with at first. So I thought I might as well see what that vision would look like. I've always had a fondness for fast movement games that incentivize speedrunning. To me, there's nothing like the feeling of constantly inching towards breaking your own personal records and getting better and better each time you play. I also have a very normal interest in games like Jet Set Radio and Bomber Cyberpunk that have a heavy emphasis on street culture. With those in mind, I wondered what it would be like if we could combine those two aspects into one game. The result?
Here we go!
It's so cool. It's so cool. It's so cool. As you can see, the prototype Guild design features a very slippery player controller to simulate the feeling of riding on rollerblades. The goal with this game was to create a playstyle that's all about committing to your actions and entering a flow state as you zip around levels and freestyle how you want to approach obstacles. Gil also implemented jumping, crouching as a way not only to duck under obstacles but also to carry momentum down slopes, wall riding because aura, a kick to blast obstacles in front of you and to potentially dispatch enemies if we decide to add that in later, a drift to slow momentum and boost off, sort of like Kirby Air Riders, and a series of interactable set pieces like grind rails, jump pads, bouncy surfaces, boost pads, and glass surfaces to kick through. She even had timers on certain pieces of our test map, and you bet I spent hours out of my day dedicated to chipping away at those times. There it is.
There it is. Holy shit, we were there.
The terminal velocity, I'm telling you, it never fails me.
There was even a point in the project where you could spam drift and get the speed boost for it, and it was my favorite version of the build, but I was told that it was too broken and would make designing levels too hard and pointless. So, yeah, that's fine. I just never wanted to be happy anyway. It was a great sign that both Gil and I found it so fun that it was hard to put down when we were testing it. And the same was also communicated to us when we showed it off to other Blue Moders, Kenji and Reese. We had so much fun concepting story, characters, future levels for this game. However, just like with any other project, there were things we had to consider along the way. We all had envisioned the gameplay loop to be going through level after level in quick succession, which meant that it would feel pretty weird to stop everything the player's doing to listen to characters talk. People would most likely just skip all the cutscenes or character moments to get right back to the action. Because of this, I suggested we have dialogue happen during levels via a call from maybe a Y2K style flip phone. This would have functioned similarly to games like Kid Icarus Uprising, as Lady Palutena or other characters in that game could call you while you're doing levels. This way it wouldn't impede the structure of the game while it was happening. The issue with this method is that for this to be effective, especially in a high-paced game like this, we needed the dialogue to be voice acted rather than just text on the screen, and trust me, none of us really qualified as professional voice actors. Another problem that we realized later on is that we massively overscoped the ideas we had for this game, like different skates that could change how the game is even played, a ton of levels, and a bunch of different other modes on top of everything else. The silver lining to this is that we could always pick it up again later, and having a movement system, even with how weirdly it controls, could come in handy later, so not only do we make something fun, but useful too. And trust me, I would keep an eye on this one. With my ideas set in stone, we went back to thinking about other games we could potentially make. Gil came up with the idea of a story-driven back alley doctor simulator set in the middle of the ocean. It was supposed to be super grungy and tackle themes of morality while deciding mid-operation whether you, as the player, think it's worth it to spend money to finish operations, or conserve your resources and risk the consequences. It was super neat in concept, but it was another game where we needed more time to figure out the gameplay loop, and would likely need more planning to think of the story. While we were working on other concepts, Gil and Reese made a slot machine game at the start of May. It was supposed to be a deck builder where you added different slots to your machine, and it would feature an NPC you'd talk to for most of the game. It was kind of like a deck builder, but your cards get played for you. And the reason why we never went forward with it was because we saw another game that was really close in concept, and we're cowards, so we didn't work on it any more than this. Later on, we took a look at some other indie games on Steam that were small in scale, but were still tons of fun to play. During this brainstorm, Reese showcased his love for a 3D Metroidvania called Pseudo-Regalia, in which we realized that there's not a whole lot of 3D games in that genre. Reese already had an idea with what a 3D Metroidvania would look like, and he said that he wanted to center it around a cyborg protagonist with the ability to swap and upgrade their own limbs as the game progresses. While we did have Pseudo-Regalia as a reference, we wanted to take a different approach to gameplay with a heavier emphasis on combat, with a third-person blaster mode that we thought could stand out. With the goals for gameplay made, we set our sights on concepting and prototyping different types of weapons. While I, Mr. Writer, went to work fitting everything into a compelling story that would fit with that gameplay in mind. We even spent a day out in the town to really make sure what the vision for this game really was. I think all of us in Blue Mug can attest that we all work better when we come together in person. It's just a little bit difficult to plan sometimes because of our own work schedules. But look at this! We actually labbed stuff out! Look at all this chicken scratch on the wall, look at us having so much fun. And this is when in the Blue Mug documentary, I go, everything was perfect. Or so they thought. We went through numerous changes to this game's prototype since a lot of the design decisions had to be more deliberate than normal. As you could probably see from the chicken scratch on the whiteboard, all of this came together to form what we created for this prototype. Wow, awesome. The model is like Mega Man and his arm cannon. Awesome. It literally says, wow, awesome. The model is like Mega Man and his awesome arm cannon awesome. What's wrong with me? In fact, that arm cannon is the most defining feature of this prototype. By holding down right click, you can aim in blaster mode with a simple camera change, and left click changes to your fire button. This is different from normal since the normal form of attacking is just a simple 3-hit combo. These aren't just two different forms of attacks, however, as there's a limit to how much you can shoot with your blaster, and the only way to recharge it is by using your melee. You can see this with me kicking what is, I'm supposing, is a misshapen punching bag here. The hope with this is that it would then incentivize the player to get their hands dirty before being able to go back and shoot down enemies. Other than the combat of this game, we also included potential movement abilities. For example, a slide, which you can chain to a jump for added horizontal mobility, and a glide to make jumps not only easier in 3D, but also would make you cross large horizontal gaps as well. In terms of vertical movement, Gil coded different types of jumps, including a Mario-esque side flip, wall jumps, and a charge jump. I think with this prototype, we once again cooked something up that we had a lot of potential with. Not just gameplay-wise, but art-wise, story-wise, music-wise. All of it is super wise and sage-like. But remember, our goal before creating these prototypes was never to make the perfect video game and just ship it. The intention was to craft as many gaming experiences as we could manage and devise what would be the best game to work on in the immediate future. And just like the last games I talked about, while this one had its pros, it also had some cons with it. Mainly just one large con. It was just really ambitious. Making a cohesive Metroidvania is really difficult since we have to carefully think about what the best spots in the game to receive different items and upgrades, then it would be where in the map to put them in, and before that we would have to actually create the map to roam in that is also rich in story. Just picking up these upgrades in the places that they are makes sense with the context of the story. Am I losing my goddamn mind? It's a lot. Not an impossible task, but it's just a lot. I think all of us can agree that developing a Metroidvania would be super cool at some point, but we surmised together as a team, it might not be in our best interest to continue to build upon this prototype right now. And by as a team, I mean Gil, Reese, and I. Because when we made this decision, Kenji actually went to Japan for 2 weeks, and we never told him this. Go Blue Mode. Another genre we all collectively liked as a team is roguelikes. The footage of me sinking 200 hours into Risk of Rain 2 from the last video, unfortunately, wasn't a bit. The boys and I absolutely loved that game, and the play hours have only increased since then. Let me actually check what it is. Risk of Rain. Yeah, 278. Cool. Not as much. Guys, I'm getting better. The appeal, at least for me, is the steady progression at getting better and better at runs, combined with that variance between them. It makes for games that always give you gratification during or after finishing runs. One thing we really enjoyed about Risk of Rain 2, and another game Reese and I grind a lot, Rabbit and Steel, were the characters in those games. All of them had radically different playstyles and decision-making that gave us a sense of individuality compared to our peers. It also helps that playing any game with your friends can make a game 10 times more fun to play than if you were playing it by yourself. So we already knew what aspects of roguelikes we already liked. It was now just about figuring out what a potential roguelike video game would be about. Something to force the player characters into repeating or venturing through impossible odds. While we came up with several ideas as to what that would be, we landed on a Saturday morning cartoon arcade-like aesthetic, as you play as a group of mercenaries and quirky characters trying to save citizens trapped within an intergalactic space station. All the while, it's being burned alive, so you gotta hurry up. From there, we once again hit the ground running. Gale went to work on designing a top-down, bullet-held centered game with online multiplayer elements. Reese went ahead and modeled what would potentially be the main character of the game. I went ahead and tried to write more background behind each character we came up with, plus a little bit more summary stuff for the story. And Kenji was still in Japan, because through all of this, we didn't even tell him what we were doing. We're such good friends. It's okay though, because once he came back, he was down to work on it. Miraculously, we found the make multiplayer button when Gil was working on the game, so that was most of the game done if I think about it. And because of that, we were able to make lobbies like this. While it was simple in design, we knew that if we integrated it into Steam, it would be much more robust. And once again, this is for testing purposes, so be nice, we're trying our best. Actually hopping into the game, we load into a square room where we can summon and fight enemies. The character that is being used at the moment would be the all-around basic character, as she's loosely based off of a superhero or Power Ranger. She wields both a melee sword with a simple 3-hit combo, a plasma gun she uses as a long-range option, and a slide she uses for movement. We also thought about implementing a fourth move or an active item mechanic so that there would be a little bit more depth in combat. Overall, this game was the quickest to develop from concept to prototype, as all of us locked in and made everything here in the span of 2 weeks. It definitely helped that we were pretty much all on the same page on what we would want out of a game like this. In terms of characters, we also agreed that we didn't want everyone to look the same. We wanted each character to be their own brand of eccentric that would make them seem either unequipped at the task at hand or just in over their own heads. Whether they be an intergalactic sheriff, or a green alien hamster with a large-ass rocket launcher. Needless to say, we had a ton of fun coming up with ideas for those characters. A problem with this game conceptually was that upon further inspection, all of us had a hard time figuring out what the hook of the game really was, that would set it apart from other roguelikes on the market. We initially envisioned that rooms you progressed through had a time limit before everything caught fire and exploded around you, making players rush ahead and keep moving. But we feared that the mechanics sounded interesting in concept rather than in practice. Another motivating factor as to why we worked on this, and subsequently why we were not as excited as the other prototypes, was that we thought it would be pretty easy to develop, and would be put in a relatively safe market that does well. Even though that might be the case, it was a leading factor as to why we kind of stopped when we did. We kind of realized we weren't making the art that we really make, rather than art that seemed easy to make, if that makes sense. It was still an option, though, to move forward with, so we just kind of left it on the back burner. We went back to the drawing board one final time to see if we could make a game that checks all of the boxes, learning from the past prototypes and searching into what games we all enjoy. While brainstorming for what had to have been the billionth time this summer, Kenji noticed a common trend amongst all of our prototypes. We seem to like fast-paced games, whether that be from swift movement systems or gameplay that incentivizes the player to keep on moving. With this in mind, what if we made a game that not only incentivizes you to keep moving, but if you stop for even a second, it could potentially spell your doom? What if we made a game that only lives off hype moments and aura and feeds off of your anxiety? What if we made a game like this? Kenji gave us a vision of a first-person shooter roguelike that is all about keeping up the pace. The goal is to reach the end of the level and loot enough money to escape captivity from those you're working for. The catch? Your heart rate is constantly being monitored, and if it dips too low, the bomb strapped to your neck goes off, killing you instantly. It's up to you, the player, to take down anyone that gets in your way and not stop for even a second. We started working on this by taking the movement controller from the Rollerblade speedrun prototype, I told you that would come in handy later, and changing values around to offer more control. After that, we worked on ways to make the game as fluid as possible. We decided it would be fun to make the player feel like they're making stuff up on the fly, so at the beginning of the run you start with a knife melee that, while doing a moderate amount of damage, is super risky since it's only useful in close range. This can change when approaching an enemy though. By clicking E, you can disarm enemies holding weapons and take them for yourself. From there, you can shoot the enemies down until you run out of ammo. This is all happening while you have to manage the heartbeat off to the side. You can increase your BPM by shooting and killing enemies, performing parkour, and dashing forward with shift. We hope that managing a system on the side, combined with keeping yourself alive throughout levels and other shenanigans, will make this game feel super fast, frantic, and what's that last F word? Oh yeah, fun. This is the prototype we're currently working on as of now, and we believe it has the best potential to bring out all of our talents, and overall, we're super excited to keep working on it. Hey, if you're hearing this, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. We're planning to make more devlogs in the future, and if you liked what you saw, maybe consider subscribing. Having more eyes on all the stuff that we do just helps us out immensely, and we really want to build a connection with the people that are watching our videos. I'd also like to mention that we're also open to multiple critiques or comments. If you guys have any on the games listed, we always read our comments, so if you have anything to say, don't be scared to reach out and say something. I'm recording this in the morning. Man, I'm tired. I just woke up. This is bad. But anyway, at least for you guys, take care.